All right, let's talk about ninjas. But I want you to forget everything you think you know from the movies. We're about to uncover the truth behind one of Japan's most fascinating groups. Not a band of assassins, but a super sophisticated, long running intelligence unit. This is the real story.
So, when you hear Ninja House, what pops into your head? I bet it's something like this, right? Trapdoors, spinning walls, maybe a few spike pits for good measure. Basically, an action packed fortress designed for an epic final fight scene. But what if I told you the real thing was way more subtle and, frankly, a lot smarter?
Take a look at this. This is the Hirosaki Ninja House. It doesn't look like much, does it? Just an old, unassuming building. But this place is the real deal, the only surviving base of its kind in Japan. It was the hub for an elite group of spies for over 200 years. And its secrets aren't flashy. They're practical, ingenious, and built right into the very bones of the house.
Okay, so let's start by looking at the hardware, the building itself. This is where you really start to see the massive difference between Hollywood fantasy and real-world spycraft.
First thing to get straight, this wasn't a house where people lived. It was a show. Think of it less like a home and more like a covert field office. It was a secure spot for agents to meet, exchange intel, and plan their next moves. And the so-called traps in this house, they weren't designed to fight an enemy, but to know they were coming. You had tiny peepholes for keeping an eye on the street without being seen. And my favorite part, a nightingale floor. Specific boards were laid down in a way that made them creak really loudly if someone stepped on them. It was a low-tech alarm system. The goal was always awareness, not a big confrontation. And that really gets to the heart of it, doesn't it? Movie ninjas have these elaborate traps all set up for a big fight scene. The real Hirosaki ninjas, their house was an information-gathering machine. Every feature was about detection and, most importantly, escape. Speaking of escape, that brings us to their absolute trump card. An escape route so brilliantly hidden that an enemy could be standing right on top of it and have no idea it was even there. So, you're looking at what seems to be just a totally normal, worn-out hallway. Nothing about it screams secret passage. There's absolutely nothing that would make you look twice. But the real magic is hiding right under the floor. Here's how it worked. A single, specific floorboard could be lifted up. It wasn't a big, obvious trapdoor, just one plank. A ninja could slip down into the crawl space, put the board back, and then crawl completely undetected underneath the floor all the way to a hidden exit outside. The enemy could be tearing the house apart upstairs, and their target would have literally just vanished into thin air.
So we've covered the hardware, the house itself. But a tool is only as good as the person using it. So now, let's talk about the software, the incredible people who operated here.
They were known as the Hayamichi no Mono. You could translate that as the people of the shortcut, or maybe even the fast trackers. And let's be clear, this was no rogue group of mercenaries. They were an official intelligence agency, backed by the Hirosaki clan, and founded by a master from the legendary Koka-ryu school, one of the most famous ninja traditions in all of Japan. And get this, their run was absolutely staggering. They were officially formed way back in the 1670s. They even survived being temporarily disbanded due to some political drama, but they were brought back just 5 years later because, well, they were just too good at their jobs. Incredibly, they stayed active all the way until 1870, operating for nearly 2 centuries. That's an enduring institution. So what on earth were they so busy doing for 200 years? Their main job was of huge strategic importance, gathering intelligence on the northern frontier, a place then known as Ezo. So this map shows you their playground. Ezo is what we call Hokkaido today. It was a rugged wildland just to the north. Because the Hirosaki clan was based right there at the northern tip of Japan's main island, they were in the perfect spot to be the eyes and ears for everything happening across that strait. And their to-do list reads just like a modern intel agency's. They kept tabs on the rival Matsumaya clan, they monitored the indigenous Ainu people to stay ahead of any potential conflicts, and, crucially, they were Japan's early warning system for foreign ships, especially from Russia, who were starting to poke around Japan's northern borders. They were geopolitical analysts in a time of total national seclusion. Now, this is the really cool part. The intelligence they gathered wasn't just for keeping the local lord happy, it was sent to the very top and actually shaped national policy. So, how was all this information used?
The reports from the Hayamichi no Mono didn't stop in Hirosaki. Nope. They were packaged up and sent straight to the seat of power, the Tokugawa shogunate in Edo, which is now Tokyo. They were effectively the central government's northern intelligence desk. And we have absolute proof of just how good they were. In 1669, during a major conflict called Shakushine's War, the intel they provided was so critical and so spot on that the shogun, the military ruler of all of Japan, formally praised the Hirosaki clan for it. I mean, getting a direct thumbs up from the shogun was a huge deal back then. It was a massive political win, all thanks to the quiet work of their spies. So it all makes you rethink the whole concept of the ninja, right? We always picture their deadliest weapon as a sword or a shuriken, but what if it was something they never even had to draw? What if their most powerful weapon was a single piece of accurate information that could stop a war before it started or change the course of history? That, right there, was the true power of the real ninja.